I am NetMoverSitan. Welcome to Smart Cube, a first-person puzzle game involving placing cubes where they're needed in order to get to the end. Yes, no, not that informative, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, those numbers at the bottom of the HUD, yeah, the middle ones, jump pads, they need to be placed at specific points and facing a specific direction if you want to, well, if I want to get anywhere. Yeah, they can be rotated. The left number is the amount of cubes I can place. And yes, this is one where I can jump and run. And there's water. As for the right set of numbers, that's the distance between me and the exits. Yes, I know this is quite sedate compared to some of what I've been playing. Library of Ruina being one of them. But I need something more cerebral, as far as entertainment is concerned. Speaking of which, the lifts. Yeah, there are some of those. Yeah, there are limited amounts of what can be placed, so it's best to make the most of it. Oh, and it's best to try and retrieve them if needed. And yes, that was a demonstration of the reset mechanic, where if it goes badly, I can restart the level. Now where was I? Oh yes. I've done a lore series on Lobotomy Corporation, Library of Ruina, and also a side story set during Library of Ruina called The Distortion Detective. I can tell you this much. One thing South Korea knows how to do is write grimdark. And that's certainly considering what they're developing next. Limbus Company. Which involves a tour of the city. Might as well be a megacity. Although, it's too early to tell either way. Let's hope it isn't mobile only. Because that might be a sign that they're selling out. And that would be a shame, wouldn't it? Yeah, just did a triangle jump there. Oh yeah. I'll be needing those. I'll also be needing those jump pads. Oh yes, and what am I looking out for in 2022? Well, there are a couple of things I'm looking out for. Elden Ring being one of them. Yes, as in the latest of From Software's Hateful Masochist series of games. As in games designed to punish mistakes severely. And you get a horsey. And a jump button. Obviously building on Sekiro. There's also time melters. Now that one interested me. Now that's one game where you need to plan your strategy carefully. That, and you need to think four-dimensionally. Because it involves fighting with more than one version of you. Or rather, the playable character. Yeah. Developed by a Canadian developer. And yes, I know. I need to figure this one out. Apparently, it's loosely based on what happened in Scotland during the witch trials. Yeah. They burned people's witches in Scotland as well. Which probably wasn't helped by a certain Scottish king that was given the throne of England as well. Yeah, that's one. Yeah, it's clear I need to climb up here. Yeah, need to... Yeah, I know, carefully balancing. As I do not want to fall down here. Okay, that's where I need to go, and that's not what I want to do. Right, I need to climb up there again. And this time, let's see if I can not slip down to the bottom again. As it's not just annoying to me, it's annoying to you watching. Probably screaming at what I need to do. Oh yes. And around the time that I was recording this, I just completed Black Book, a card-based role-playing game set around pre-Soviet Russia. Yeah, in a rural part of that area, full of demons. Yeah, that's right, demons. Good. Managed to get up this time. Oh yes, and there's no way of getting up to the platform, which is why it's not a good idea to, well, not a good idea to be in the water, as there's no way of getting up to where I need to go. Honestly, what do you think I am? Fast blue adrenaline junkie with ADHD? Oh yes. Speaking of which, anyone else thinking that Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman has the same wisdom as Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool? And not just because they're both Canadian. Yeah, probably got the message that he's not meant to be a serious actor. He's meant to be wild and chaotic, along with being nuttier than oh, you know what I'm talking about. Oh yes, that would help, wouldn't it? Yeah, there are good reasons why other people, indie developers, are doing first-person puzzle games. Well, let's just say certain developers are not doing that. And why wouldn't they do that, you may ask? Well, for one simple reason. They don't see it as profitable enough. Which leaves it wide open for the indie developers to fill the void. Because if there's a market for a game, you can be certain that there's someone that will develop it. And it's no good telling their customers what they want. As if by naming their opinion in advance, they'll be unable to alter it. For example, the original movie Sonic design. They chose wisely when they modified it. To be more faithful to the source material. Yeah, the backlash said, Hollywood knows best. I don't think so. Certainly not in this case. And as for Sonic's mutant vulpine friend, it looks like all they needed to do was some minor touch-ups. And to be honest, the Sonic series has been taking quite a beating in more recent times. Where it's mediocre at best and just plain terrible at worst. To be honest, as far as open world is concerned, with what's being worked on, they could hardly do worse. In fact, they have done worse. Just not with what they're developing as, well, they've not developed it, they've not, well, released it yet. Although, with the next Super Mario Bros. Movie, they just need it to be more faithful to the source material, and it'll be an improvement. Although, Jack Black as Bowser? Oh yeah, just needs to familiarize himself with the source material, and he'll realize that Bowser is a big, scaly, spiked idiot. Yeah. That fire-breathing tortoise is not known for its intelligence. Well, it's why he has Kamek around. Makes up for the shortfall. Oh yes, and as for this game, it's providing some small amusement. It's actually quite mild compared to other first-person puzzle games that I've played. Yeah, thankfully, there's a guide of where the cubes go. Okay. That was surprisingly easy. Well, it would be. If I wasn't sure what to do. And no, I don't yet know what those wires are for. Okay. Yeah, best not stay in there too long. Oh yes, let's go back to Elden Ring. Apparently, they're getting someone outside for that one. Well, for part of it, anyway. Apparently, the one who wrote the source material for Game of Thrones. Okay, I'm clearly skipping ahead here. I need to check out the other places as... yeah, I need jump pads. Oh yes, and apparently it's more open world than From Software games so far. Which is why there's something that you wouldn't expect from a company that makes games that, well, basically give the finger to the very concept of handholding. I'm of course talking about the development known as a map. Where in the past, games, if you get lost, well, that's your own fault then. Don't blame me for your sense of direction. That's basically the general message. Need a jump pad and... there you are. Now to get back up there and jump over to where the exit is. Well, there's no crouch, so that's... as in squeezing through the small gap, is not a viable option. Yeah, need plenty of those. Let's see, as far as my character in Elden Ring is concerned, I need to think about what I shouldn't be playing as. Let's see, I've already done the dedicated pyromancer in Dark Souls. When Dark Souls 2, I was a cleric. And one that favoured strength-based weapons. In Dark Souls 3, I played as a glass cannon sorcerer. And believe me, that had its moments. As far as I'm concerned, regarding boss battles, if I can defeat them in the first attempt, they are pathetic. That old Demon King, for example. As a glass cannon sorcerer, that one was just pathetically easy. Thankfully, there were others that made up for that. The Demon Prince, for example, or whatever it's called. I can't remember it right now, and I can't be bothered to check. That one reminded me of the Balrog of Morgoth. And then we have Sister Friede. For some reason, I was thinking of something from the Disney Empire involving cold temperatures. The source material of that was written by the same author as The Little Mermaid. Yeah, Hans Christian Andersen. That one was certainly interesting. And her soul made quite a nice weapon. Well, certainly for one with strong magical ability. And then there was Slave Nightingale. Now that one gave me a good fight. I had to get a bit creative with that one. Exploiting status ailments that he was vulnerable to. And the irony of which was, one of them I thought was completely useless to me. Well, that boss battle proved me wrong. And that was just in Dark Souls 3. The Fume Knight apparently had a 93% failure rate. Let's see, what else? There was that giant spider. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, I know, it's Dark Souls 2, not that memorable, to be honest. Although, remember Ava? That cat that needed a key item to be able to see where that boss is when fighting it. As for the first Dark Souls, notable bosses, let's see. Definitely Quelaag. And no, that's not because of the... Oh, get your minds out of the gutter. It's because she gave a rather nice sword once the relevant blacksmith was found. Then there's Sif, which was tragic after a visit to Ulysses. Then we have Black Dragon Calamite. Now that was a tough one. And that boss gave a soul that can be made into... Or was it given automatically? Well, regardless, it involved a ring that is only for those who want more pain. Although, why the Soul Stream spell? A spell that looks good, but other spells could serve the same purpose, but with... Well, it didn't show off as much. It's probably because they wanted to go full anime. Oh yes, and as for the abnormalities, of the Project Moon universe. The Magical Girls group is one of the more disturbing. Why do you say that, you may ask? Well, it's because their anime come to life. I mean, can you imagine anime coming to life? Let's just say that Earth wouldn't last very long if it did. And this is also considering that their Twisted takes on familiar stories. There's a set of... involves Twisted takes on the Wizard of Oz, and also stories of the brothers... Sorry. English is failing me. Yeah, I still struggle with it. Along with Twisted takes on the Brothers Grimm, and also Hans Christian Andersen. Yeah, for some, Project Moon's content is nightmare fuel. But for me, it isn't. Want to know why? It's because the nightmare fuel is in reality. Yeah, that's right. Reality sucks. What else is new? Oh yes, and as for why they, get a bit vague when it comes to certain details. In fiction, whether it be a definitive list of starships in Star Trek, or in the case of the Project Moon universe, what is in each district of the city, and what each of the different corporations do. Yeah, it's deliberately vague, so they can have more freedom to make it up as they go along. Where they don't want to commit themselves to writing that up before it's ready. Yeah, I need a staircase. Unfortunately, that's not the way to do it. That, on the other hand, is certainly the right direction. And I'm right back at the start. Now, it would help if I worked out where the exit was. Ah, yes. That would be a good idea if I hopped up there. Oh yes, and you know how some preach more equality, more social justice. And end up being the opposite of what they were trying to stand up for. Yeah. Talking about ideologues, those that take something too far, where even if they meant well, at least to themselves, they will more often do more harm than good. I believe it was J.R.R. Tolkien who once said, "Evil cannot create, only corrupts." Although in some cases, it's not as simple as defining it as good and evil. Because all too often, the line between one and the other blurs to a point where you don't know where one ends and the other begins. Oh yes, and I need to mention this. I noticed the legs. Not something you often see in a first-person puzzle game, where you can actually see the legs of who you're playing as. Let me guess, they're not ready for a mirror yet. Yeah, probably needed that. Well, best not take chances. Yes. Oh yes, there's also Frostpunk 2, the sequel to the alternate timeline survival game. It looks like they're moving on to oil. A problem in our world, but in a world that's undergoing an ice age, the irony does not escape me. Yeah, that's introducing the power switch. Ah yes, it does work better with one of those. Ah yes, and the worst kind of evil is that which believes that it's doing what it's doing for the good of others. Those that will torment others without end. I believe it was C.S. Lewis that said that. Yeah, as in Narnia. I shudder to think what Project Moon's twisted take on that would be. Then again, they already have. Oh wait, no, that's a manticore, not a lion. Oh yes, and the reason why I made a lore series on Lobotomy Corporation, Library of Rowena, and the Distortion Detective was, well, after completing Lobotomy Corporation, I couldn't find any lore videos on that, so I decided to make my own series. Do any of you get this desire to let go of your self-control and just completely lose it? And yes, I know. I need to move these two cubes to where they're needed. This might take a while. As they need to be not there, as I need them to be where I can jump onto them. Yeah. Have this desire to play something where you can go all out and let out all that anger, frustration, and general insanity. Basically everything that would get you into trouble in reality. Yeah. Like we need more evidence that reality sucks. Much like how I'm doing with this puzzle. Aren't I? Be honest. And also, do you get a specific kind of person? As in the kind of person that has a severe overreaction to even slight amounts of criticism. And it doesn't matter if this criticism is constructive or not. It's as if the word overreaction is not in their vocabulary. And the worst part of that is those who are like that are known to be in charge. I mean, we might as well have a chaotic children's entertainer in charge of things. Because at least... Yeah, I needed to reset that. Let's see if I can do this properly this time. Okay, where were we? Oh, yes. No, I don't want to remove it this time. As for children's entertainers being in charge, at least they make people laugh as, well, they do it on purpose, rather than due to them being failures while trying to pass themselves off as serious. That's the problem with some people, isn't it? To them, karma or the consequences of their actions are things that only happen to other people. Okay, let's not drop down there. Must be the other way. And it's quicker, and not to mention more convenient, to jump back and forth. Because considering how light the gravity is around here, landing on the moving platform is a bit hit and miss, isn't it? Ah, there you are. Unless I encounter some exceptional difficulties during the next few levels. This should be a short one. Until next time. Hey, you're the rabbit!